Welcome to the Giants Training Camp Report, presented by Investors Bank. Obviously, with everything that's gone on, not only in the National Football League, but throughout the country and the world, it is good to see football players out on the field.
It is, and we all have our fingers crossed that all the protocols are adhered to and that this can be a successful season.
Carl, let's talk a little bit about team building, because obviously normally that starts in the spring and you kind of work your way towards it. This is like a crash course. I know they did a lot of things via Zoom, but can you talk about the importance of what they're doing over at MetLife Stadium right now as far as being around teammates once again?
This is legitimately their OTAs, Bob, and I'm so happy that the preseason was eliminated, preseason games, because at the end of the day, they had no physical contact with each other. They're talking virtually. Coaches didn't see players the way physically that they should. They didn't work out together, so you couldn't gauge who was in shape or who was on track to do what. Now they finally got them in a collective group, and they'll be able to do more with them and start to really build camaraderie.
Carl, the weight room. Just talk about the significance of the weight room when guys haven't seen each other for such a long time.
That's where everything really starts, is you start to build your physical foundation, and the coaches start to get excited about what they see, the progress of a player. Because this is a new coaching staff. They're looking at players only from film. And they may see a guy and say, well, he's not very strong. We got to get this guy stronger. But they've never had any contact with him since they've been here. So this is the time where the weight room becomes very important. And, you know, I have stories of Bill Parcells used to spend a lot of time in the weight room really encouraging, you know, championship mentality, doing extra and pushing that extra weight.
Carl, you run a very successful business. I've worked a couple of golf events. You know, you can do things virtually all you want, and it's fun and it's great, but there's nothing like being around people in person, to see a smile, a helping hand, or whatever. That's something that these guys are getting now back into. It almost makes it feel a little normal, even though it's not normal.
It makes it feel like football. Like, this is a game that's played by people, and people have to interact. And you can't, unless you're playing Madden, which they were doing in the offseason to build teamwork, you've got to interact. You've got to know how a person responds to adversity. So this is the type of thing that reminds you or just brings you back to the mindset, we are actually in football season.
Now, Carl, obviously, due to COVID-19, players have the option to opt out. And Nate Solder was one of the Giants that did, and we all wish Nate nothing but the best. I mean, we all know his story, so it made a lot of sense, and I don't think it's greatly unexpected. Now they shuffle on the offensive line a little bit. Andrew Thomas was drafted in the first round. He's going to have a chance to compete. Not that he wasn't going to have a chance to compete, but the meter is running even a little bit quicker.
Well, the beautiful part about Andrew Thomas is that he naturally plays left tackle. So, yeah, the training wheels are off pretty much. He's going to have to compete at the left tackle position, and we know that there'll be some swing linemen that they're going to try all over the offensive line, but because you draft a guy in the first round as your first pick, you didn't draft him to sit him on the bench.
And the Giants, you know, up Nick Gates, and he's a guy that we saw last year, you know, under Joe Judge, new coaching staff, but versatility is what Nick Gates brings to the table, and that is big in this system.
Well, it really is, because to have a Swiss Army knife on the offensive line, a guy who can go pretty much across all 5 areas and be effective, is invaluable. Because now if you have an injury, he's a guy that can switch, even if he's a starter, and you got, okay, we're more heavily weighted towards tackles, and a guard goes down, hey, Nick, go in and play guard. Or if you lose a tackle, hey, Nick, go play tackle, because we have a lot of guards here on the roster, and we can put a guard in there. So he's going to be just great for them.
Let's go across the parking lot to MetLife Stadium, where the Giants are conducting their meetings and getting ready for the 2020 season, and welcome in defensive lineman Dalvin Tomlinson, who in the first 3 years of his NFL career has started all 48 games and he joins us right now. Dalvin, how you doing? What's it like to be back and around teammates finally?
I'm doing great, and it's super exciting to be back around the teammates and everything. And just been away for so long, it's just a weird atmosphere this year. Just everything going on. So I'm super excited to be back.
Dalvin, you're of the generation of the video game and the virtual stuff. How was it with the virtual meetings, and what did you guys do for team building virtually?
At first I was kind of iffy about it because, I'm a hands-on type of guy and everything, but it went pretty well for us across the board. Everybody was learning the plays and everything, and it was great. And to bond virtually, I think we all just pretty much played video games and stuff like that and got online and just chatted with each other. They got to know each other off the field.
Dalvin, how are you able to get yourself ready for the season without being able to do what you would normally do as far as the off-season program and so on and so forth?
I feel like pretty much that's when it comes to being a professional, and you have to pretty much get yourself prepared as much as possible. When you put the pads and stuff on, it's always a different type of grind to get back into football shape. So you just have to continue to grind and continue to work and just take care of your body because it's going to be a different transition period for everybody.
You talk about the transition period for everybody, Dalvin. What is it like learning the coaches? Now you're getting a chance to kind of see what the coaches are like in person.
This is great. Just being here helps out a lot simply because you see how they get to coach you in person and how they coach things and how you could pick up things and how y'all just the different communication we get to have in the meeting rooms and stuff like that, so we all could just pick up on the defense and scheme and schematics together.
Dalvin, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to accomplishing this year individually in order to help the team be successful as far as how you want to up your game?
I want to just pretty much up my game across the board in the run game and pass game just to help be more disruptive on the defensive front, to help our defense across the board and just help our team out and just continue to improve across the board.
Dalvin, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thank you.
Well, that wraps it up for this week's show. For Carl Banks and our entire crew, thanks for joining us for the Giants Training Camp Report, presented by Investors Bank.